Hello and welcome. This is going to be the first tutorial in level editing for DOOMBRINGER. And to begin with, we're gonna need to have a level editor, and we have two places to download the editor. One is in the Steam discussion forums under the topic DOOMBRINGER Discord and community links. And then we have at the bottom we have NetRadiant and TrenchBroom. And we're going to be using NetRadiant because that is the complete package, and it is what we're using when we're making DOOMBRINGER in the first place. We also have over at our Discord, where you can also ask for help, an information tab, which also has the link for the same links basically. Anyway, we're going to download it and save it in downloads, and we're just going to open when download is complete. And it's going to take a slight moment. There we go. It has opened, and we're going to extract it to a folder called over at f:// we're gonna call it db level editing editor. You can call it whatever you like. There we go. Close that. Don't need that anymore. And we go down to f:// and we have to find it. There we go. And it is a NetRadiant custom by Garrux. You can also find this editor over at Garrux GitHub page, where you can also find updates to the editor in case we haven't had time to update it ourselves. Anyway, that's that, and we go down in the list and find radiant.exe, and we run that, and then the editor is looking for the game, so we just click the three buttons, direct it over to Steam, and we have Steam apps, common, DOOMBRINGER, and open, and okay. Now everything seems fine. We have a lot of shaders here. If we click on them though, it's not so fine anymore. Texture load failed. What to do? We will go to the Steam folder where we find the game, Steam apps, common, DOOMBRINGER, and DB data. There we'll find this file, DB data graphics, and that holds all the textures, but the problem for Radiant is that it can't see the textures in the PK3. So we are going to have to extract them so we can reach them. And unfortunately, this is going to take a moment, a couple of minutes, because it's a lot of textures to unpack. And there we go. Now we go back into Radiant and we press this little green, these two little green arrows, and it will reload all the textures. And there we go. Bunch of beautiful textures. Now we're ready. We can start making our first map. And there are two ways to make a brush in Radiant basically. One is in the 3D view. Basically, you just hold down the mouse and drag. I, however, prefer to do it in the 2D view. So I'll do this, and then I have my brush here. Now, I did have quite low grid, so I will raise the grid to, I'm pressing the 6 key to reset it to 32, and now it's 64. I'll pull it down, but I want it to be 64. It says 80 here. So I'll hold Control and G to collapse it to the grid. There we go. Now I don't want these blue textures all over. So I'm gonna right click this pink button here, which will make it caulk. And caulk means it's a solid texture that blocks this, but it's invisible in game. Now, we have made a floor, but the floor is invisible. And I don't want all of these sides to be the same texture. I want the caulk to stay. So I will hold down Shift and Control and click on the surface of the floor to select only that face. And I will pick this grid floor that I think is pretty cool. And I'll press S to bring out the surface inspector, and it's at 0.25 stretch. I will set it to half that. And let's tilt it as well. I think that works well for these specific textures. There we go. We have our floor. But this is not a room. If I put a light here and try to compile it, the game will complain. But for demonstration's sake, let's try that. So we have a light. Oh, that light did not end up where I expected it to. I'll press W to get a gizmo that allows me to drag the light up. I can also use plus and minus keys to move it up and down, but the gizmo also lets me easily control it in the horizontal plane as well. There we go. I have my light, and I'm gonna need a player start. Info, I'll right click to get the entity list, and I'll pick info player start. Oh, he's up in the sky. So, I'm gonna have to press 5. There we go. So what I did was press 5 to get a lower grid, and then press plus twice to raise the character up a bit. Now, we have a floor, we have a player, we have a light. Let's see what happens when we try to build this. Test. And we call it test map. Now you see this red line here is what you get. It says map leaked with big red letters here, and you also get this here error box, map leaked. And that is what happens when the map is not contained like a solid entity. It's like a balloon that lets the air escape. It has to be completely airtight. So what I'm just gonna start doing is I'll make walls. There we have what looks like it could be a wall, but it doesn't meet the floor, and it's not tall enough to reach the light. So I'm gonna hold down Alt, and that will activate this tool. That will let me select which, by moving the mouse around, it will let me select which side of the brush I want to manipulate in 3D. So I'm selecting the bottom side. I will press the mouse 1 key and just pull it down, and the same pulling it up. You can also do it in the 2D view, where you just go for the side. But the 3D view is very good because it has a lot of added benefits. For instance, if you have different shaped brushes, but you want to move one side of them or something, it helps a lot. There we go. And just like with the original, we do this, and by holding Control and Tab, I can select between the three viewpoints in the 2D view. Now, if you only want to use the 3D view, that's perfectly fine, but I just think the 2D view has its benefits for existing. So I'm gonna do this. As you see, when I'm using the 2D view, it matches the height and width of the previous brushes made, and I caulk them, and then I hold down Shift and Control to select the inner walls. Go to bricks. Figure that would be nice for this room. I'll press S to bring up the surface inspector, and I press have this set of tools here that allows me to adjust texture's size based on the brush width or height. So I'll press height, and this will make the texture match the height of this brush. Now I just need a roof. So I'll go click there. I click the floor to get the same dimensions of the roof, because that will make it perfectly fit with the size of the floor, just further up. Here we go. We need a ceiling for this roof. And we have this abomination. And I'm gonna put this in here and here. Oops. There we go. Now we have made a sealed up box room, our very first room. Now we're gonna try and build this. So we go to the build menu, let's take test. That will compile with the lights and at a reasonable pace. There we go. Now we go to Steam to start Doombringer. Library. Oh, I already had that up. Surprise. Okay, now once we're in game, we can start bringing out down the console. We do that with the tilde key, and it's the key just below escape on your keyboard. You can also, if you have trouble with that, use the console from the options by clicking console. Now we have map, test, map. And you can also autocomplete sentences in the console by pressing tab. You will get a list of options and stuff like that. But now we just press escape to remove the console, and we're in our map. And that is all for today. Next time we'll be looking at some of the more important editing tools, but this has been basic roundup for creating a basic map. And hopefully you'll be creating a lot more going forward. Thank you.